Hello. I'm going crazy, crazy. Turn up my sound. Hello, how y'all doing? Happy Saturday, everybody. Can y'all hear me on the live? I just want to make sure my live is good. Make sure that my live is good. See some people joining me. Hello, how y'all doing? Hi. Thank you, Old School Zone. You always have my back. I love you. I am just going to be waiting for Mr. Darrell to come join in on the live with me in the next minute or two. Give it some time, guys. I'm so excited. I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. I'm so blessed. I'm happy. During this pandemic, thank you for asking me. Just excited about this interview I have with Mr. Darrell Delite today. Oh, this is so great. I'm so excited. So happy. Just waiting for him to come on my live. I see some people joining in. Thank you so much. Same to you. Please be safe out there, guys. If y'all going out there, please wear your mask, because they saying this COVID stuff is getting a little crazy and crazy. And we just gotta be careful. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for Mr. Darrell to join in live with me. It's officially 3 o'clock, so hopefully he'll be in. And guys, today is the 20th anniversary of K-Ci Jojo's third album, X, which I'm excited. I heard the album, y'all. It is so good. If y'all have not heard this album is so good. I am just really elated to even hear about this album. This album is so great, so the bomb, and I really love it myself. Okay, wait for him to join me live. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I'm going crazy, 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 crazy. Let's give it some time, y'all. He should be coming. Okay, let's see. Let me see where he's at. I sent him a request, so hopefully he gets my request. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I can't think about this crazy. Okay, I'm just waiting for him to come in the live with me. I want to see what's going on. Okay, I see something. Somebody just joined. Okay. Hi, Plus Barbie. Thank you for joining me. Trying to see what's going on. Yeah, it's exactly 3 o'clock, y'all. He should be coming on live. I just sent him. Oh, there he is. Okay. Okay, I think I sent him a request, so let's see if it's going to work. Okay. Okay, now he got my request. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to go live. He's about to join me in. Okay.
What's good?
Hey, hi, Mr. Darrell. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. And yourself?
I'm doing good. Are you kind of breaking up on me?
I'm breaking up on you. Can you hear me real well now?
Okay, you good. You good.
Awesome. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, it's good. I had to make sure, because I'm like, well, let's make sure we were connecting. So I wanted to make sure everything was good on our end, on both our ends. Yes, thank you so much. I want to introduce myself. My name is Chastity Buckley. I am the host of Midnight Love Edition, the homage of Midnight Love BET, where I give all my honor to all my R&B singers, songwriters, and all my R&B artists. I am so happy today. I am with the one and only multi-platinum engineer, songwriter, producer. I mean, vocals, you can sing. You do everything. The one and only Mr. Darrell Delite Allamby. I think I'm saying your last name right. I'm not sure. I don't want to mess it up.
Allamby. It's all right. It's all right. Hey, everybody messes that thing up.
very, very unique. I was like, wow, it's very, I've never heard the last name, but it's so unique. And I noticed with last names, it comes from some type of roots and, you know, background, because I know you're from New York, and I know those New York background, all that Spanish culture and stuff like that, you got to have something that in you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm Panamanian.
Okay, so I figured that. I was like, okay, yeah, he has to be something. But I just want to introduce you, Mr. Darrell. Thank you so much for coming and joining the live with me today. I am so happy to celebrate with you guys the 20th anniversary. Today makes 20 years of K-Ci.
Yeah.
Third album, X. I actually was 11 years old when this album dropped.
Wow. Wow.
I was 11.
I'm not going to say my age.
Look, hey, I mean, hey, I may not look 31, but look, I'm young at heart. So I'm just so excited, lady, and thank you so much, Mr. Darrell, for joining me today. I'm just so happy to celebrate with you with your iconic hit, Crazy, that I fell in love with when I was 12 years old when I first heard this song. Me and my mom, we actually got the DVD of the movie called Save the Last Dance. And when we heard Crazy, I was like, oh my God, this was like K-Ci Jojo, another hit. I was excited, I was happy, but I was just happy to see that K-Ci Jojo was still bringing that classic, real R&B that I love so much. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to keep bringing the classic hits with them and just celebrating X album today, you know, for 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
They were an honor, and it was really awesome just working with them. They're great.
Right, definitely, for sure. So before we do get started on our interview, I wanted to kind of talk to you about, you know, I kind of like want to do a mental check-in with my guests who I bring in, because I know this year, 2020, has been kind of like the craziest year for all of us. And so I just want to talk on how you dealing with the pandemic, or how you doing since the pandemic has happened, and how's everything been with you, you know, creatively with producing and just songwriting and things like that.
I mean, you know, obviously the pandemic is it's a serious matter, which in our household we've taken it very serious. We've been social distancing like to the extreme. Like, you know, we really don't invite people over. We really keep those masks on when we're out and about. But the pandemic is like, I look at it two ways. You know what I mean? On one end, it's really devastating our nation and just the world at hand. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's helped me out quite a bit. It helped me to refocus and allowed me some time that I really needed to be able to sit down and write things out and really plan for the future of what I want to do in music. And also, it also allowed me the opportunity for people to get to really hear the music that I've done, because now people are home, they're streaming like crazy. So it hasn't affected me financially. It's increased my finances. You know, it's just a little devastating with, you know, my kids are at home, so I gotta go upstairs and fix the computer when they're not online the right way. Hey, ain't you supposed to be in class? You know, it's that kind of stuff. But other than that, man, it's great, man, because I spend a lot of time with my wife and kids and a lot of time in the studio. So
well, that's dope. I'm really so happy. I talk to a lot of people. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I had a phone call that kind of cut it off. So, but I have a lot of people that said the same thing too. I had an interview with Prince Charles. He said for him, it's been working out financially as well. He said for him, he's been very creative. People have been calling, just talking, just making sure they want to create music, you know, create a genre, you know, that has trends in all walks of life, especially rhythm and blues. So for you, your music alone has really transcended from, you know, the test of time. But just not only that, the thing about it is it's just bringing healing to us, even though we're in this crazy time, you know, dealing with the coronavirus and just, you know, things getting crazy and out of hand, that this music is really helping us and healing us more than anything. So I just appreciate that. And I'm happy that you and your family are good. Y'all okay.
Thank you.
It's because these people are just playing and just acting crazy. But as long as you and your family are safe, that means the world, because at the end of the day is, you know, we have to have the people that love us the most that's really still here.
Yep.
Definitely, for sure. So now, before we get started, Mr. Darrell, I just want to ask you, because you are from New York and you were saying that, And I know you are Panamanian, so you from those background roots from up north in Brooklyn in New York. So I wanted to ask you, I know you were raised in a family of musicians. Your dad was a DJ, your grandfather, he played music. How did you get your start, your inspiration of love for R&B? And who were some of your artists or your producers that you fell in love with and gave you inspiration to become, a producer and everything else?
You know, first of all, growing up in Brooklyn is just a blessing because you grow up around so many different cultures of Black people, and like usually like when I migrated to the South and started to live down South, I realized that Black New Yorkers are really unique and different because especially like East Coast Black folks, because we're from everywhere. We're from Panama, Guyana, Trinidad, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, and so forth and so on. So growing up there, I heard so many different kinds of music. I grew up with everything from house to hip hop to R&B. And as a youth, I just turned on the radio, and the radio was my guide. You know what I mean? That was my YouTube when there wasn't no YouTube. And WBLS and 98.7 KISS FM, which is and WKTU, which were radio stations in New York City that were playing popular music back then. That's where I really, learned about R&B, outside of my father and what he played in the house, what my grandparents and parents just played growing up. But that was where I really got to hear R&B, and that's when I used to just take those songs and write the lyrics out and try to play it on the piano and get to just kind of get to know my way around the feeling of R&B music. But that's how I fell in love with it. It's from day one. When I heard the first song, I was like, this is incredible. And I didn't know that I wanted to become a musician because all along I was a musician. From day one, my dad bought me a piano, and I was always on an instrument. When I go to my grandparents' house, my aunt had a piano there, so I was always playing the piano somewhere.
Right.
And when you grow up around those instruments, you don't really necessarily. I'm 5, 6, 7 years old. I'm not calling myself a producer or a musician. Right. I didn't even know those terminologies at that point, but I was able to just play it. And, I had my cheerleaders in the background, my the elders in the family. They'd be like, go ahead, play that song. And, that's what inspired me the most was my family.
And that's amazing. And I love that you said that because, New York is the home of hip hop. I mean, it's the home of music. It's the home that transcends, that reached out to everybody all over the world. And just to see hip hop from where it was then to now, and just R&B music from transitioning from New York now to international, that's just amazing. So I'm happy that, you explain and talk about that, because family, especially when you have a family that sticks together and loves music, just like you love music. And I know they kind of grew up, pretty much grown you up into that. I mean, something really truly inspire you to help, make music for yourself, and then, help us with music now, and, creating these iconic hits that you have done, these past 30 years in the industry. So I appreciate that. I really do. So what inspired you to want to become a producer and a songwriter, and what is your sound, and what do you call your sound in R&B? Because I know you define your sound as urban music for the future. So what do you call that inspires you to become a producer and a songwriter, and what is your sound in R&B?
I would say in R&B, it depends on what kind of R&B I'm doing, because what I would do for Darrell Delite would be completely different from what I would do for K-Ci Jojo, and what I would do for Silk, or what I would do for Janet Jackson. They're like totally different artists and totally different reaches. But what I've been able to do is in my music is I've always been able to find a way to pour myself into the art through the artist. And it's a hard thing to do, for a lot of producers. If they haven't figured out what their sound is. My sound generally sounds very futuristic, but still holds to the core essence of R&B with chords and vocals and lots of stacks, big background vocal production, stuff like that. But heavy on good quality mixes, you know, so sonically you feel like you're going on a ride. You know, you're starting at the beginning of the song, and it's somewhere in the middle, it's climaxing. It goes up to a real high level,
right,
and then it comes back down. I feel like that's what my production has done for people, and that's probably why it's been able to sustain the test of time, because I tell a full story even before the artists are on the song singing it. The music also tells the story also.
Right, right. I agree, and that's why I said it's good that you hit on futuristic, because I know now when you were getting ready to come in the 2000s, it really did change the sound of R&B. And I remember when I was young, when Napster came into play, and I was like, whoa, this is different. Like, wait a minute, where is, you know, the people that, you know, that were creating the sound? And I know it kind of changed the sound of music, but I know for you, when you said futuristic, I feel like when 2010 came around, a futuristic sound just changed the way of R&B. And I was like, wait a minute, what just happened? So it's like, for me, you were the pioneer that created the futuristic of R&B. And now looking at it now, 20 years later, people are still using that type of sound that you're using for futuristic type. But I mean, it's a little bit R&B, but it's not what R&B that I was used to when I was growing up. And that's why I appreciate your sound, that you always still had this R&B type of tone sound in it. But the thing about it wasn't like the 70s and 80s and 90s. It was like a new 21st century type of sound. And that's why I really love about your music. I really do.
Yeah, especially coming off of New Jack Swing, you know, because I was coming off of the New Jack Swing era, so I had to compete with that, which is a very hard feat, you know what I mean? Because Teddy Riley is he's no newbie. You know, him and anybody who had been doing New Jack Swing, like the Eddie F's and all the pioneers of that sound. So for me to come in, you know, this little kid with his own sound of R&B, especially slow jams at that, you know, I'm taking people from the clubs to the bedroom. so you know, so that was a hard thing to. That was the goal, basically, like to get people to listen to love making music as opposed to just wanting to dance and turn up.
Right. And I agree, because I said for me, Mr. Darrell, you remind me of the 2000 Teddy Riley. Like you said, New Jack Swing, that's what you remind me of. You truly remind me of Teddy Riley. Like, you had hip hop, but you had R&B, like slow jams that can like make you like, okay, I'm at the club, but my thing about I want to get, you know, intimate with my partner, or just, you know, have a, you know, romantic relationship with somebody. You know what I'm saying? That feel good music that we still love. I mean, but it was still R&B. It still hold true to, you know, a romantic side, and not just something about, you know, just, okay, this is like something that just one time, it's like everlasting. If that's not everlasting.
Well, you know, Teddy Riley is one of the people I looked up to. He was, I emulated him a lot when I was younger. Before I found myself and found my sound, it was Teddy Riley and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Babyface. Those were the guys I kind of like looked at as like, you know, that's the level of sound I want. That's the vibe. That's the goal. But then I found myself saying, well, you know what? You can't make a song that sounds exactly like their song. You have to still find yourself. And once I found myself, that's when I was able to really, really craft the music that you guys began to hear when when my career started to excel.
Right. Well, some of the music I was listening to, I didn't have no business, but I was loving it.
Like, not at 12. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
Mama, well, yes, my mom. Well, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I got introduced to your music, I'm gonna be honest, was back when I'm from actually Louisiana, but I grew up in Dallas, Texas, and I was introduced to your music on Flavor TV. This guy named Skip Cheatham used to have the show. And
Skip.
I was following.
Skip. That's my boy.
I know. You used to live in Dallas, so for me, I was watching Meeting in My Bedroom. I love that song. LSG My Body, that's my favorite LSG song ever. My Body, I listened to that when I was like 9 years old, and the sound was just like, whoa, this is like different. But that was, I loved it. I love the song. I mean, I love the video. I love the concept. It was just different. And your sound, the way it hit, it was just like, wow, this is some R&B that I can get used to, that I can fall in love with. So yes, for sure. Like, I'm sorry, but I mean, hey, My music, I'm being honest. It reminded me of like Timbaland and Genuine Static. It was like that too. Y'all were like in a mixture of that new wave of R&B that was coming in, that was kind of changing the game for the 90s going on to the 21st century. That's just for me. I agree with that 100%. So I wanted to ask you, how did you get your first break in the music industry? What was your first big break?
My first big break, well, it's kind of like a two answer question, because I mean, my first big break may have not put the spotlight directly on me. I was more like in the background doing my thing. That's when I was like, just part of I was a part of this production crew called Track Masters, and with Tone and Polk and Steve Stout, who's the commissioner. And they gave me a lot of opportunity to be in the studio to watch the construction of some of the greatest hip hop and R&B records of the 90s. I was there watching Track Masters put together like some of the most biggest classics in hip hop. And what was really dope about that, though, is that I was also able to, learn the whole process by playing my part in my position. I was playing keyboards on a lot of those records. I was writing the lyrics on a lot of those records. I was right there with the engineers like Richard Trevally and Tony Maserati, who are now like the icon in mixing engineers in the game. So I was able to sit alongside with them and kind of like just be a fly on the wall and learn. And eventually they started letting me touch buttons and move knobs and play instruments and songwrite on write songs on a lot of their material. And then eventually I just felt like it was time for me to spread my wings and try to do it on my own. And my first official launch off of me doing something on my own was My Body. That was my first legit placement production where it became a hit. You know what I mean? And I was able to make my name and bring up the crew that I had with me. I had other writers and other producers with me that I was gonna introduce as well. If I can shout them out, Link,
yes,
who was one of my writing partners, Antoinette Roberson, who was also one of my writing partners, and Kenny Flav, and some of the musicians that were also part of our crew, like Kenny Whitehead, whose father is from a very, very well-known old school group called McFadden and Whitehead. They did classic songs like Ain't No Stopping Us Now. And his father wrote like Backstabbers for the OJs. And so I was able to work with him and this really eclectic crew of great songwriters and musicians. And I had like a really, really dope engineer, Ben Arundel, and a recording engineer. His name is Brian Kincaid, who really helped me shape my sound and make it sound right before we presented it to the masses.
Right. That is so amazing. And you know what? I got a confession to make. When you just said Link, it reminded me of when I was 11. I'm not gonna lie, Lord forgive me. Actually listened to Sex Your Body. My mom got me a CD player for Christmas, and at the time she was dating this guy. He was, he's like a stepfather to me to this day. He's still cool. He had the CD. He had Link CD. We had Link CD on CD years ago, and I played it, and I was like, this, I don't know what this is, but I said I'm gonna play it on my headphones, and I played Sex Your Body on my thing. So tell Link thank you.
I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
I hope so. Look, not 11 you'll listen to that, but I mean, it was the sound. It was amazing. I was like, wow, this is a dude that is talented.
And I co-produced that with Kenny Flav, Flav Dickerson, who now goes by Flav House. Yeah, that was my partner, man. And when we got together in the studio, man, it was always magical. It was always magical.
Right. So tell Link he got a story for that. So he had an 11-year-old fan 20 years ago. Well, that is so dope, and I love how you said that, because I know for me, listening to the background and the history of where all these people came from, the people that brought in your sound and your crew, because I think a lot of us, we don't give mixing people enough credit, engineers, And that's why when I did my interview with Prince Charles, I read on his history, you know, he not only just did not producing, he did engineering, he did mixing, but, you know, he was like, to get an understanding of how music works, there's more behind it. It takes more, it takes a team. And so that's why I love that you shout out your team, because like I said, it's not one person that does the, you know, everything. It's a whole team that does the whole sound and the creation.
Oh, yeah.
But you're the leader behind it. So, but the leader always has a team. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now today is the 20th anniversary of X by K-Ci and Jojo. Oh my God, 20 years. Yes. So excited. Shout out to Jojo. I was shocked. He reposted me on his Insta story. So thank you, Mr. Jojo Haley. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. So now X is the 20th anniversary of this album, and I know X means that this was their 10 year in the club in the music industry. So I thought that was interesting because I didn't know that's what the X stood for.
Yeah.
And I know in the late 2000s they released this album on their 10th anniversary in the business. So how did you get introduced to K-Ci and Jojo, and how did you get started or on this project with them, and were you like part of the crazy, you know, the crazy creation of it, and how did you come up and how did you pick them to, you know, lead the song?
Crazy story. No pun intended. But I actually originally I wrote that song for Tony Braxton.
What?
And, yeah, I wrote the song for Tony Braxton. I wrote it at my friend's house. His name is Carlos McKinney. That's where I did. He had a piano up on a Segway on his steps going up into his house, and I got on the piano and I just came up with that hook and the melody right there. And Carlos, shout out Carlos McKinney. He's the Dreams producer. He produced a lot. He goes by Los the Maestro. But I was over his house and I came up with that hook and the melodies and everything. The first verse for the song, like right on the spot. I played it for Clive Davis, and Clive Davis really wasn't feeling it. He was like, I don't know, you say crazy way too many times, but I had a gut feeling. That the song was on point, because not only I felt that way, but the people who were around me while I was writing, it was like, man, that's a smash. So it never got in the hands of Tony Braxton. But what happened was I had to work with K-Ci and Jojo because I was doing a project with the late Aretha Franklin featuring K-Ci and Jojo. They did a duet album. So so I went to California to work in the late Michael Jackson's recording studio with K-Ci and Jojo to record their parts for the Aretha Franklin duet. And while we was working, the engineer was setting up some stuff in the main room, and I was in the room just playing on the piano, and I was singing the song "Crazy" on the piano, and K-Ci walked in and he said, "Who's that song for?" I said, I just a song I wrote, you know what I mean? I just been toying around with it. It really is for anybody. And he was like, Jojo need to hear that song. So he said, Jojo, come in here. So Jojo came in the room and he heard me play. And it was like, we need that, bro. So I literally finished out my recording responsibilities for the Aretha Franklin record. And as soon as I got home, I booked a session at Quad Studio, which is the famous studio where Tupac got shot downstairs in New York City. And while I was in there recording, I called Link up and I told him, I said, hey man, I'm writing this song for K-Ci and Jojo. If you want to help me, you can help me write this second verse. So we wrote the second. He helped me write the second verse, and I basically finished the song. Sent them a real nice demo of the song, and next thing I know, I was in LA recording them, and the song just came out incredible. I mean, it just incredible. And the kind of people that was in the room while I was recording them it was an out of body experience. Just recording. I worked with many artists before then, but they attract. They're like rock stars, K-Ci and Jojo. Let's say that first. You know what I mean? Let's give them what they really are. They're rock stars in this R&B game.
They are.
And while I was out there working, Steven Stegall stopped at the studio to hang out. Like,
what?
How does Steven Stegall end up hanging out with K-Ci and JoJo? You know, that was odd, but it was dope.
Yeah.
You know, and when we went back to our hotels, you know, K-Ci and JoJo invited me downstairs to, you know, just to have breakfast before we went back in to finish the vocals the next morning. And Devontae was downstairs and he heard the song and and this is when I knew it was a super smash. It's because Devontae looked at me and told me, man, you know, you dope, bro. And that record is a smash. And that meant a lot to me because, you know, I know we talked about Teddy and Babyface and all of them, but when I was in a singing group, you couldn't tell me that my singing group wasn't like the next Jodeci, because we really looked up to them. We really looked up to them, and we looked up to Devontae. So to hear out of his mouth, for him to evoke any words of wisdom or encouragement, it was just a blessing. It's like he blessed the song even more. You know what I mean? And he gave me the stamp of approval to say, this is the one, bro. Good job. Well done. And I was so happy. And that's what I took from that whole moment. And the song just blew up, you know?
It did. It really did. And I do remember myself, like I say all the time, I relate back going to my childhood. For me, like the way I watch videos was, you know, Flavor TV, you know, BET, Midnight Love, and, you know, from boxing played a huge role in my life because that's how I found out the premiere of my videos. So, you know, back then when the boxing was like popping, you know, I used to see that video in heavy rotation. So I was like, wow, what is this? Because I mean, and it's crazy, and I hate to say this, but like I had an interview with Prince Charles, and I keep referring back to him because he was one of the producers for JoJo. And I had talked to him, and I told him, I said, to be honest with you, I was not a Jodeci fan. I did not like Jodeci. I didn't know who they were.
Bang, bang, bang.
Look, you cannot blame me. Look,
you have to revoke that statement.
I can't.
Those are the R&B gods.
I didn't know who they were. Well, let me say this. I love K-Ci and JoJo. I didn't know who Jodeci was because at the time when I learned
That's fair. That's fair because you was 11 years old. So you really had no business knowing anything about that.
I was not. But when I first heard K-Ci and JoJo all my life, I fell in love with that song at 8 years old, and I was like, "Oh my God, what is this song?" And when I watched it when they played it all the time on the box, I was just in love with K-Ci and JoJo. That's how I fell in love with them. And then years later, I found out from my cousins. They was like, "Well, you know, they were in a group named JoJo." I was like, "Yeah, right." And so when I looked on their history, I said, "Oh, they look too much for me." I was like, I'm a Boys II Men fan, so that's the reason why I think that kind of clashes right now. So when I have this conversation with everybody, I have to be honest, but at the same time, like you said, I was young, I didn't know. So for me, you know, when I went back to that, and my cousins made me understand, like Chastity, like you have to understand Jodeci was everything. Like they are the one that brought in the sound.
They're the blueprint. They are the blueprint. Jodeci is the blueprint. They are the R&B blueprint, male R&B group blueprint.
Yes.
From the production to the songwriting to the mixing. To the artistry, to the stage showmanship, to their vocal acrobats, everything. You can't listen to any of my music, Silk, and not hear the influences of Jodeci. You can't listen to anything I've ever done and never hear Jodeci. Like I took so much from that time of me just sitting around and listening to their music.
Right.
That was my learning. That was my education tool. You know what I mean? That they taught me how to put it together. You know what I mean? They made me on point. And that was I still don't feel like I've gotten to that bar of excellence still to this day. No. What they did, oh man, Forever My Lady, Stay, Come and Talk to Me, you name it. You know, the first album, the second album, was a masterpiece. It was just a masterpiece of production and art. Like that music was so beautiful. It should be furniture.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna be honest because I know we're gonna go off topic, but I know the versus battle's been coming up. I don't know if you see Timbaland. He dropped a flyer you know, kind of teasing us that Jodeci may be doing an R&B verses. So I'm excited to see that. Are you excited to see that your song may be played, you know, in that catalog with Jodeci and K-Ci and JoJo?
I mean, it would be a blessing just to hear it. But I'm such a Jodeci fan that I truly believe that they don't need any of the music that I did with K-Ci and JoJo to win those battles, because those dudes, their music was heat. It was all heat.
I love it. Was. Oh God, no.
I know. Listen, no disrespect to my own music, but we talking about the gods of R&B.
That's true.
You know, we talking about, you know, can you the production of Devontae, his production is phenomenal. Right. And their music was so good that you don't even have to really do any other new songs. Like they could stop doing music forever, because that music that they did, that body of work has influenced hip hop, R&B, and other, you know what I mean, and pop. You know what I mean? That we wouldn't even be doing the kind of songs like Crazy had it not been for, you know, Jodeci. That we needed Jodeci in order to migrate into the crazy style of music.
Mm-hmm. And I love Jodeci too, because Jodeci has this, and when I listened to X album today, it has this gospel tone background vocals that I love, like blues. I was listening to Wanna Do Right, and I forgot that was a remake of it from Bernard Wright, and I was like, wow, this is like If Love You Is Wrong, they remade that. I was like, wow, this is so dope. This is so amazing. But they remind me of like R&B, gospel, hip hop roots, and I'm like, oh my God, they are just amazing. What you did to Crazy, that just transcends for all of us. I mean, for me, still falling up with them at 12 years old with that hit, and watching it on Saving the Last Dance, I'm like, another hit. It's a smash.
Yeah. that was the icing on the cake. It being in the movie, you know what I mean? When I got that call from Damon, who manages K-Ci and JoJo, well, at that time, when he called me up and he says, man, I think we're trying to pitch this song for a movie that's and it actually Crazy Save the Last Dance was MTV's first movie that they've ever put out. What? That was like that was like their first movie. So this song was a very important song. It was the lead song for their movie. The first song off of the soundtrack, the first everything, you know. So for the song to do well and the movie to do well was just a blessing, you know what I mean? It just to be a part of the first of all of those moments, you know.
Exactly. And on the AMA in 2002, American Music 2002, it did. I was so proud of that. But for it to go to say that the album dropped, and I didn't even realize this 2 weeks later, December 19th, Save the Last Dance soundtrack is making 20 years. So you got another one, 20 years album again. I'm like, wow, you just, I mean, you know what, Mr. Darrell, I mean, you really dominated R&B in the 21st century that I didn't realize it for myself that you were bringing that transcends to now. So for that to be on Save the Last Dance, and for that to, you know, inspire all of us young kids, you know, who were just young, just listening to all this music, we didn't know where the sound was going, but it's so relevant to this day. I mean, 20 years later, for that album to be a success, how did you feel when the album did become a success, and how did you feel when Crazy became a success?
Oh man, I jumped up and down for joy, because not you know, because it kind of the music I did with them got me out of that box, you know what I mean? Because it was I was in a real R&B box that people just thought that I was like just strictly R&B, and that kind of R&B was very different because it was crossover. It exposed you to everybody, right? You know, and that kind of landed me situations like to work with rappers like Busta Rhymes and Janet Jackson and so many other things. Like my jobs became more about just doing music. I worked with Darius Rucker from Hootie and the Blowfish because of that song. I was able to, like, you know, really, really start to work in music and not just R&B. Right. You know, because of their rock star status that they brought to the song, it made it easy for me to be able to work with other rock stars because of them. So I shot them out, and I thank them, you know, extremely, you know, with all my heart and soul for allowing me the opportunity to be a part of that song and letting me produce them, you know, like how Devontae produced them, so that I could get a hit record under my belt, you know, under their their history and be a part of their legacy. That's just a great thing. I'm just thankful for that.
Right, and I agree. And I know I was gonna tell you, I've seen a lot of your hits, like the Busta Rhymes Janet Jackson song, "What's It Gonna Be." That was Sierra Russell Wilson, excuse me, costume for Halloween this year. How did you feel about that? Like, you have that, and then I seen this couple, this one of these famous YouTube couples, they had actually did a verses of your song, the old school versus new school, and they had new school. And then they had your hit Silk, or Me in My Bedroom. Everybody chose your song. So how did you feel that everybody's still using that?
Wow. I didn't even see that.
I'll tag you in it. I know which video it is. I definitely tag you, and everybody went straight to your song. So how do you feel that in 2020, you got people like Sierra Russell Wilson and people that are making memes that really love your music to this day, love it, and just keep, inspiring and keep it going and going?
It's humbling. It's humbling, man. It's very humbling. And I'm extremely grateful for it, because I know that, a lot of musicians aren't given the ear and the talent to be able to create stuff that transcends the test of time. Wow. and inspires people right now, for me to hear young kids sampling my music and putting out new music and doing videos and all of this stuff, Sierra's doing, everything that they do. I'm very thankful. And I'm very humble. And it's crazy because even though I'm a part of so many big records, a lot of people don't really know who I am and know my contribution or my story, and what I brought to the table and what my team has brought to the table also. Right. So, when I see that, it just lets me know that it really is all about the music at the end of the day. It's not about the hype. It's really just it boils down to being about really good music. And when you put real good music out, it will stand the test of time.
Yeah. And that's why I do and I'm so happy you said that, Mr. Darrell, because that's why I do my platform. Because for me, I know you worked with Ray J on his album as well, so I know about this too. And for me, I'm a big Brandy fan. So Brandy is my heart, my soul. I actually learned about her when I was 5 years old. I actually picked up her cassette tape at 5 years old, and she changed. Yes, I remember to this day. I still remember that. But the reason why I do my platform is because I want to honor people like you. I want to honor producers and songwriters and R&B artists, regardless of they had one hit, if they had 20 hits. They still change the game of R&B culture. And so for me, that's why I always want to give you your flowers and your roses, because no matter what has happened, I still listen to you. I mean, the reason I listen to people like Brandy was when I used to buy the CDs, I would read the album covers. So I was wondering, okay, I know who Brandy is, but who is writing these songs? I'm at 15, I'm thinking where is these songwritings coming from? Because I know it's not easy. I always think in the back, because I'm more deep into music and thoughts, but at the same time, when it comes to hearing the sound, hearing the beat, who was the one making the beat? That's how I learned my stuff. And that's how I learned who Timbaland was at 7 years old. And, Rodney Jerkins. Rodney Jerkins is my #1 favorite producer of all time.
Oh, yeah. He's a beast. He's an animal.
And for me to listen to Never Say Never, and he inspired a generation like mine, and not even you, your classic, Silk, Me in My Bedroom. I remember watching on BT every day at 10 years old. So watching that at 10 years old, and I was like, the beat, the sound, every time it dropped, I was like, wow, who are these people that's singing these songs, creating the sound, creating the music? But I want to understand who they are, because they're making history for us. And so that's why I do my platform, to honor people like you, people like Silk, people like Jodeci, K-Ci, and JoJo, because no matter what has happened, just because they're not mainstream like they are in 2020, I still honor them because their music still plays to this day. And so that's why.
And we thank you too for being able to call upon us. Thank you for calling upon us and bringing us out in the open for everybody to know, that we are here and to let the world know what we did, what we brought to the table. That's a beautiful thing. And we got nothing but love for you and your peers. We're very thankful for social media and how people have used it to expose our culture in a positive way. How we're bringing all of this great energy back out into the atmosphere for people to know that, that this is where we come from. This is what Black excellence comes from, you know. And I'm just thankful.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate that. And I wanted to ask you too. I had a question for Prince Charles about. I asked him about what is the key of making a hit, and he told me in his own words, all hits don't win, but all winners were hits. So for me, he meant to say, and his meaning of that was mindset of thinking of a hit. You have to think everything that you make is a hit, and I really like that. And I wanted to ask you, what is your key of making a hit record? And what is your favorite hit from your catalog, if you don't mind me asking?
The key to me, the key to making a hit is to starting the record where most people would finish. You know, just like in anything in life, you know, I'm a Virgo, so I start where most people finish things. I am a perfectionist, and I'm very detail oriented, you know, so I spend a lot of time being meticulous about a snare drum where other people be like, man, that snare is okay, let's go. But when it's done, you know, the consumer don't know that extra time that I put into that snare is part of the feeling that's generating the sales. You know what I mean? It's not just the lyric, it's not just the artist, it's everything, every component. And because I'm a part of every part of it, you know, from creating the business opportunity to booking the studio time, playing the instruments, producing the vocalists, mixing it, and mastering it. It's you know, the part that makes it the hit is to really like, if there's a way for instance, like a meeting in my bedroom, if you notice, there's a door that slams on every downbeat.
What?
Yeah, like, you know, it goes. Looking at my roly girl, see, it's almost time. See, without that door, you don't feel like there's a bedroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when he says, looking at my roly, it's a tick, 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 tick.
I heard that.
That's the tick from the clock. You know, it's little things like that. If you don't put that in the song, then the song really starts to feel different. If I took all of those elements out, you wouldn't feel that. For K-Ci and Jojo, I think the feeling that for Crazy, what it was I put country sounding guitars in it, and auto tune, which was not used at that time in R&B. It was the first song really in R&B that was being abused with. I abused auto tune in that chorus. That's why it sounds so weird and augmented.
Yeah.
But people, I had to literally argue with the label. It was like, you know, you got that robot on their voice, take it all off. And it's crazy because they told me to take off what became the tool that they used for one of their biggest artists.
Exactly.
You know, when they had T-Pain, they signed T-Pain, and T-Pain is like auto-tune king. But we were using it way before T-Pain, and I literally was abusing it in the same way that T-Pain would have. But I had to fight with labels about technology often, because I also used Pro Tools at the time, which no one was using Pro Tools. Also, they were using tape machines. So I brought a lot of different things to the element of making that record a hit. So, I mean, to answer your question in a short, I mean, like really just starting. And somebody may say this is the finishing of the song. That's where I started. I was like, okay, well, that's just my beginning. So I'm gonna finish here. If you're gonna finish there, I'm gonna finish here. You know, so it's just going the extra mile, basically. Just going the extra mile to make it sound classic.
Right. And I was going to tell you about that. You were the first. And I always tell people all the time, like, when you do your history on people, always find out where the beginning is. Like I said, T-Pain wasn't the first to start it. It was you. It definitely was you. Now, I do remember that I read an article that says that Crazy was like the first auto-tune sound. And I was kind of shocked because I did hear it, but I was like, K-Ci and Jojo, they sing. So, I mean, for me, in my brain, I'm just thinking, okay, they just may have just elongated that or something. But I mean,
yeah, it was more as an effect more than a tool to correct someone's voice. Because T-Pain can sing also. He's dope. He can sing just without it. But it's an effect that makes people feel a certain kind of way. It's futuristic.
Futuristic, yeah. And then look at 2010 and looking now what they're using auto-tune all day, every day.
Yeah. Well, now they're using it on people who can't sing. so, so that's the difference. People that shouldn't be singing are using it so they can sound that they do know how to sing.
But yeah, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. Now, I appreciate that. A lot of people that can't sing, but now with the auto-tune, it's making them have, like, they do have a voice to sing. And I don't know if they do it live and stuff, but I mean, for me, and that's why I always talk about all the time, like, if you really are a singer, please sing with your vocals. And me and my friend, shout out to him, JR, he's the R&B representative that always, him and his co-host Elise, they always represent for R&B. They always take it back from the beginning to now. And one thing about their show, they always give their props to everybody from the past to the present. And when they talk about singing, we talk about real singers. We not no shade to nobody that does auto-tune, but when we go back to history, we go back from the beginning, from the 50s, 60s, 70s on now. And so that's what I look when I look into R&B music, is real singers. So I appreciate, Mr. Darrell, you kind of being specific with that, but I didn't want to go there, but it's the truth. But it is true. So now I know you have this thing called the Panama Gold Movement. So what is the movement of Panama Gold Movement? And can you tell us about that, Mr. Darrell, about your company, and what does that mean to you, and what does it mean to the audience, and what do you bring in the R&B?
Well, as I said earlier in the interview, I am Panamanian. So Panama Gold is it's sort of like it's like a bad boy movement. Like when Bad Boy first started, they were renegades. I mean, they dared to do things differently, from marketing to music to how they dressed, and just pushing the culture forward.
Right.
Panama Gold isn't one specific genre. It's not just R&B. It's hip hop. It's EDM. It's music for film and TV. It's branding for marijuana. It's a lot of different things. So Panama Gold is a vibe, and it's a launching tool for young artists. So I'm gonna work with a lot of new artists, as well as some artists that you guys are already familiar with, in launching new music in 2021. But the main thing is to showcase new music. Is me as a producer being able to showcase artists, like no different than how Quincy Jones did back in the day, or how Dr. Dre did when he did The Chronic. If he hadn't done The Chronic, we wouldn't have had a Snoop Dogg. We wouldn't have had so many of the great artists that came from that one entity, from the Dog Pound and everybody else. It's just a nice way to come together. That's what Panama Gold is, in a whole nutshell. That's the best way I could describe it, until I show you exactly what it is.
No,
it's swag. It's everything. It's how you dress, how you talk, how you walk. It's the food you eat. It's a lot of different elements, But first and foremost, it's being able to showcase new music produced by myself, and really allowing people to see how production is important, and how you can take a new artist and break them without all the hype and craziness.
Come on, that real A&R development.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
I just miss that now. I really do, and I appreciate that your movement is about that, because I think for me, when I do my platform, I always, at the time when I was growing up, everybody had an A&R. Everything was, kind of media trained. But at the same time, if you notice, a lot of artists from back then are still have longevity. And I'm not saying nothing against these new artists for now, because social media does kind of give them a bigger platform. But I just feel like we miss that in certain ways when it comes down of how the creation of an artist comes, and how the way you can keep longevity. And your Panama Gold movement can do that. And I feel like we need people like that, especially for me in this generation, because, like I say, no shade to the people, that's making music now. But back then, I always wanted to listen to the artist and the meaning of the song, and what it meant to me in my life, and what it can mean to, generations on after me. So when I do this stuff and want to talk about, R&B music from back then, I always want to show honor to the people from the past and the present. But I know for sure, for my generation, I know for us, we miss music like that. We miss A&R people like that. We miss, the certain things of how to create an artist, but not even that, how does all the behind the scenes work? But at the same time, what does it mean to become an artist, but what does it mean to have longevity? And so for me, the movement is going to do big things, and I'm going to support it 100%.
I appreciate you. But you know, the biggest part of that movement is to showcase to the young people that work under me how to secure the bag. I want them to learn their business, because that ultimately that's the main ingredient that has sustained me the most, is me understanding the business. You know, outside of the talent and the hits, is if you don't have their business together, you messed up in this game easily, because it's a business that's it's no secret that it's filled with snakes and venomous people who can't wait to come and just suck your energy. So when you have opportunities to work with good people like I have, like Gerald Levert was my Panama Gold. You know what I mean? Back then, you know, the late Gerald Levert, like he put me onto the game. He took me under his wings. He made sure that I got paid right. He taught me how to develop my business and how to protect my brand and protect my name, and most importantly, how to protect my publishing. And because of that, I'm still eating, and I'm not living in a shack somewhere and not having to work outside of my passion, you know, to this day.
I appreciate that. I'm happy that you're tagging on that, because I know for me, the business, I've always heard this is the saying. I got this from LJ from Profile. He told me, he was like 90% business, 10% music. I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, we love the music, but I mean, the business always has to come first, especially in the music industry. How it is. So I mean, you're teaching people the experience of how it is to, you know, become an artist, but at the same time is you need to know the business before you get in this thing, and have the right around you and support you and helping you become successful, but not even that, have longevity and have money in your pocket if you don't want to stay in it. So I appreciate that a lot. I really do.
No problem. Thank you. I'm gonna give it to you too. So don't be surprised when I'm calling you like crazy and throwing music your way.
Oh, well, you know, I'm not trying to be a singer, but my thing about it is I love showcasing, and for me, I do podcasting, so I'm about to get ready to prepare for my podcast next year. So this is my platform. I like to give people their props, but at the same time, I like to give the history of R&B. So I'm a little R&B librarian.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love that. So, okay, so now, if you had to describe one word for X, the album, what word would it be for K-Ci Jojo's third album? What does X mean to you, or what did it mean to you when you did this album? One word?
X, I would say excellence.
Oh!
You know what I mean? I would say excellence. And the reason I choose the word excellence, because it describes the 10 years of what, you know, that 10 years, they did a lot. They made a lot of way. They in that 10 years, you know what I mean, that they up to that album. And I'm just thankful to be a part of that that excellence, you know what I mean, that I'm the exclamation point to the excellence. You know, all of those X's.
Yes for the X. Look. But that was beautiful. You know what? That was perfect. That was perfect for me. I don't even have nothing to discuss. Well, I mean, for me, I think if I had to, because I listened to the K-Ci Jojo album, for me, I would say pure R&B roots. I really love this album. Like, for me, I'm from Louisiana, so we listen to a lot of blues music. And K-Ci and Jojo, they got that blues, church, gospel roots in them. And that's why when I listened to this album, they had a lot of good R&B sound. And I didn't know Babyface was on this album. Roy Hamilton was on this album. I'm like, they got a lot of Emmanuel. It's just so many people that really, really, you know, always kept the sound of K-Ci and Jojo, because they were a duo at this time. But they always kept that gospel R&B roots that I just love. And Crazy was one of them. But it was definitely mainstream. I mean, it transited from pop, hip hop, R&B. I mean, it was everywhere. So that yeah, I just really like this album. And I just say it's pure R&B roots. I love it. But excellent. I like that one.
That's what it was to me.
Yeah.
Excellence.
So now, any advice? And now we're at the end of our interview, Mr. Delite, and I had so much fun. Do you have any advice for people that are wanting to become a producer in the industry, or do you have any advice besides the one you gave earlier, Panama movement, or people that's trying to get in this game, or just understand of how to, now since we're in 2020 and everything's kind of shut down, but how to create a space for them and how to, you know, get some type of success like you did?
I say make sure that your foundation is tight. You know, get a good music business attorney. Read books. You know what I mean, to strengthen your knowledge about your craft. Study the pioneers, the legends. There's a million videos on YouTube of, I mean, everyone from Prince to Elvis Presley. I don't care who it is. Look, learn from our mistakes. Plan, write your ideas down. Protect, you know what I mean? Copyright your information, trademark your ideas. Stay focused. You know what I mean? In anything that you do, you know what I mean? Just stay real focused. And I would say always keep real people around you. You know, people who are going to keep you in check, and gonna allow you to know when your boo-boo stinks. You know what I mean? They're gonna let you know that you need to check yourself. You know, and I've been blessed to have people like that in my life. You know, my wife is my number one checker. She lets me know when when I need to scale back on something, and I listen to her. You know, when I was younger, I made a lot of bad mistakes in this business because most of the mistakes I made was due to not listening or thinking that the rules don't apply to me. You know what I mean? And I think that, and for every win that I've had, it was because I listened. You know what I mean? And I saw that those rules do apply. You know, so that was for me. That was the thing that allowed me to grow the most. You know, and I tell young people all the time, man, just really, really master your craft. Learn the business. There's a million books out here to read. Tons of books out here to read. There's tons of information. You know, put your music in a PRO like ASCAP or BMI. Register your music with the Library of Congress before you post your music on the internet. You know, protect your stuff because there's a lot of vultures out here. That's not going to stop people from stealing, but it protects you so that when they do steal, you can sue.
Right.
And you can win. You know what I mean? So
you got the Team Virgo in the comments. They cutting up. They like Team Virgo, Team Virgo. Yeah, I agree.
That's right. That's what my Virgos. What's good? What's good?
Yes, that's amazing that you said that. On my mother, my late mother, she was a Virgo too. So my late mother, she taught me everything I know. And you know what? I could say, Mr. Light, everything I learned from her, and she was a Virgo. She taught me everything I know, and I'm so blessed. You know, God rest her soul. She's no longer here with me, but at the same time, she taught me to be strong, become a young lady, be respectful of yourself because nobody's not gonna respect you if you don't respect yourself. So I love that you dropped all those gems for us, and I'm just appreciative. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for doing this interview. I just love, you've been in this game for 30 years, and you're teaching me, a young lady like me, to protect my brand and protect everything I am because. And somebody said Delite is a legend. Oh yes, I call him. I would say icon, but I don't know if that's gonna be a lot for you. But I call you icon.
Man, an icon. I haven't reached my icon status yet, but you know what I mean. If God so fit to allow me to see many more years on this earth, I'm gonna keep on doing music, and maybe one day I'll be able to reach that level of excellence. But I strive every day to become better in everything that I do. Music is definitely one of those things I'm trying to become more perfect at. So I'm thankful for you guys sticking with me throughout this journey and supporting my music and allowing it to be a part of all of these different times. You know what I mean, from the 90s to the 2000s, and now we're going to 2020s. Yeah. I'm very thankful. So kudos to, I gotta give a hand clap to all of the people that have, made our music what it is. It wouldn't be nothing without the people.
Oh, yes. And I appreciate it too. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this interview. And just thank you so much for honoring K-Ci Jojo's X album and just honoring you for, creating this classic for us. Me watching on MTV and The Box, at such a young age, I didn't think that this song was going to be always played in my head. And I forgot to tell you, my manager, one of my coworkers, she told me, she was like, let Mr. Delite know this every year at the family reunion. I said, what? Say she has a drunk uncle that plays crazy. So so she said they play this song every year at that family reunion. They just actually had one this year. It was kind of scary for COVID, but I think they were trying to be protective and stuff. But they had played the song every year. So she has a crazy uncle that plays this song. So I guess he's crazy too. So
God bless him. Tell
Yes,
him I said thank you.
I would
he keeps the energy flowing.
right. But I want to thank you so much, and thank you so much for just this classic song, this classic album, and just appreciate you just being there for K-Ci Jojo through the years, and just thank you so much for just being a part of the history and of R&B that I grew up in loving, and just thank you for your artistry and your music, and I'm appreciative of that, and I appreciate you for doing this on my platform.
And I like to just say this, Chastity, thank you for having me today. Thank you for giving us this platform, and I wish nothing but love and success to what you're doing. Anytime you need me to come in on your platform and support you, and anything that I can do, I'm just a text away, a phone call away. I'm right here. You know what I mean? Even though we're not there in face to face, let's use our technology wisely. You know what I mean? I'm here. So, you know what I mean? And if I shout out a few people who, very important people. I have to give a shout out to Ben Arundel, Link, Antoinette Roberson, Kenny Flav, Kenny Whitehead, and definitely K-Ci and JoJo for allowing this album to be a part of my catalog and giving me the opportunity to be able to produce them. And to everybody who is part of the new Panama Gold team, Black Marv, 911, Savannah, my boy Quincy, Vince, John from the group Silk, everyone who's been kind of like, helping me, set the stage to make this next wave occur. I applaud you guys, and I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. Panama Gold 2021 is coming. It's real.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you guys for just joining me on the live. I appreciate you so much, Mr. Darrell, from the bottom of my heart. Next week, guys, next Saturday, please join me for my R&B song relationship episode 8. We are going to be celebrating the 15th anniversary of Mariah Carey's classic hit, Don't Forget About Us. That's the topic we talk about all the time. I do on my song relationship, where I break down R&B classic lyrics.
Wow.
Kind of bring it to real life situations. So that's my little classic I do with my special guest Muse. Muse will be joining me live next Saturday. For that, I'm so excited. We're gonna be breaking down these lyrics, and we're gonna figure out what Mariah Carey was talking about. And right, we have to. And December 20th, we are getting ready to do my next interview with the one and only Grammy Award producer songwriter Miss Candace Nelson. She was a part of the Mary J. Blige 15th anniversary album of The Breakthrough. She did the song Take Me As I Am. Please, guys, join me on the live. I am so excited and happy that R&B is not dead. It is still here forever and a day.
Yes, it is.
Yes, and I'm so happy people like Mr. Darrell Delite to join me on the live. And Mr. Darrell, I just want to give you your roses, your flowers, everything above and beyond for me. Thank you so much for this classic third album of K-Ci Jojo's X. Thank you so much from my heart. God bless you, and thank you, and pray for you and your family. And any last words you have to say before you do go off live?
No, I think you covered it all, man. Thank you again. K-Ci and JoJo, I love you guys.
I know I love you. I love you guys, and hopefully you guys get to see my live. And thank you, Mr. Haley, for reposting that. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. We are done with our interview. God bless you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Please have a blessed weekend, guys. Please wear your mask and enjoy this lovely day. Thank you so much, Mr. Darrell. God bless you from the bottom of my heart.